And in this corner, we have a 1971 pressing from Paris, France of the Beatles Revolver, weighing in at a light, maybe 140 grams. And in this corner, weighing in at quite a bit more, we have the 2022 Giles Martin Remastered Deluxe Box Set. In this case, it is digital. Let's put these two together and see what happens. Let's go! Hey everybody, boys and girls, thanks for joining today. I appreciate it. Yeah, just like the intro said, today we're going to go over a 1971 pressing from Paris, France that a buddy of mine got for me over there in Paris. He goes over there almost every year to go watch the that big bike race. What's it called? The Tour de France. So he goes over there, and I'm very I'm a lucky beneficiary of him getting me some records from time to time. So yes, that's what this is. And I hadn't listened to this. This has been sitting in my collection for a couple of years now, and shame on me, I just never listened to it. I just figured in my head, you know, it's not going to be that great sounding. It's old. All right. So what I decided to do was to listen to this first and then compare it to my, my digital copy, which I've been a big fan of Giles Martin's work. I've gotten, when all these box sets have come out, yeah, I'm a Beatle nerd. I got the Revolver, I've got the Sgt. Pepper, I've got the White Album, I've got Abbey Road. And I'm hoping that he comes out maybe this Christmas with Magical Mystery Tour, but that's another conversation. So anyway, this thing is, generally, it's in very good condition as far as no scratches, no nothing. It's flat, really good condition. I don't know how to judge these things, but I guess this would be a VG Plus, perhaps. I don't know, but it's pretty darn good. And on the other hand, what this is, right? This is that massive box set, 2022, thick and heavy. This was the one. My wife had got it for me for Christmas. For some reason, I just assumed if these things were on digital, they were digital mastered anyway. Why do I need the vinyl copy of it? I may be thinking differently now about that, and we'll get to that at the end of the video. But this thing comes with the driver on this book. It's fantastic, really is. I mean, there's some pictures in here I haven't seen before. It's got some great information in here. Fantastic, worth its weight. This is really what the package is worth. And this thing here, pretty good replica as far as the packaging goes. I like the back side of this, pretty neat. They did it just the way it came out originally. And inside you've got, you know, your standard, 2020, you got the new stereo mix, you got the original mono mix in here, you've got sessions 1, 2, and we've got some stuff, we got the EP stuff in here, right? And on the EP, because these would have been singles at the time, I just want to make sure. Yeah, we got Paperback Rider and Rain. Really nice. So, packaging was great. Again, I'm a sucker for these box sets, and really, really, really enjoy this one. All right, so let's get into the criteria. For those who want to know what my system entails, please look down in the description. Really quick though, from the analog perspective, it is going on an Audio-Technica turntable, upgraded cart, through the Project 2-Box S2 phono preamp, out the integrated amp, which is a Rotel A11 tribute, out these Wharfdale Denton 85th anniversary speakers. And the only difference coming from the digital side, yes, it's on my hard drive. Check out the video I just did prior to this as a rant. I'm using Audiophile, and that's serving up all my digital files via USB cable into my Denafreps Aries 2 DAC, and then the rest of the chain, okay? So how did I listen to this first off? I listened to the 1971 copy first. Listened to the entire thing. So from the 1971 pressing of this album, what was the overall condition of the vinyl? Again, I'm not a conditional expert, but I would say it's a VG plus. Certainly for the cover. By the way, the cover is very flimsy, very thin cardboard stock there. And again, the record is very thin as well, probably around 140 grams, maybe even a little bit less. I'm not sure. But the record itself played very well. It was flat. It did have surface noise on it. I cleaned it a couple times again before I put on. You're still getting that surface noise. Nothing really noticeable when the music's playing. Frankly, I would say 99% of the time you didn't notice anything while the music was playing. But in between songs, and certainly when you drop the needle, you are hearing that surface noise. Okay, so I set the Rotel up to volume 74. It's usually where I'll start when I put on a vinyl record. In this case, this thing was a little bit hotter than I thought, meaning it was a little bit louder than I thought. On Eleanor Rigby, and I'll put the dB meters over here. When I was listening to Eleanor Rigby, the low end was 71, the high end was 95, and I was listening to an average of 85 decibels. That's usually about as loud as I typically listen to it. I usually like to live between 83 and 85, closer to 83. Again, I'm 10 feet away listening. So that was Eleanor Rigby. And I'll get into the digital stuff here in a second to compare. But so again, Eleanor Rigby 71, 85, 95, and then Love You 2 was a low end of 65, high of 100. Hold on that though, and an average of 84. For the majority, and I was looking at the dB meter, for the majority of that song it was 95. It was hovering around 95, just like Eleanor Rigby was. Maybe there was a pop in there that I didn't distinguish as a pop, and it jumped up to 100 decibels. It just did that one time, and I think on the picture here you can actually see the little blip. So for all intents and purposes, I think that the high usually was around 95, but that's what you get with vinyl records every once in a while. I got a spike at 100 decibels. The sound stage on the vinyl record was from on the left and on the right, it was sitting around 4.5 to 5 feet. Again, the vinyl record exceeded my expectations. All right, I'll say that now, it did. And the height on this thing was what I put. The height was around 4 to 5 feet. Okay, this was a nice sound stage. It really was. I did not expect that coming out of a 1971 pressing. I don't know why I didn't think that would happen. Again, stupid, but it was pretty good, pretty good. All right, what I put here, I put an enjoyable listen. You got that feeling, well, I'll use that comparison later. It was a very enjoyable listen, had no problems with it. I had been so used to listening to this digital copy for a couple of years now that I really enjoyed it. I just thought I would poo-poo all over the original version. Shame on me. It was really good, and I'll leave it at that. The next day, right, because I had to wait longer than I wanted to because I was having issues with my Audiophile, whatever the hell it is. But once I got it set up and listening to it, I kicked back and used the same test criteria, except on the volume, I always got to pull the volume down a little bit when I'm listening to digital files. Typically, they're a little bit louder coming out of the DAC, right? On this case, I set the volume to 68. And this is what I was getting. For Eleanor Rigby, I was getting a low end of 72, a high of 91, and an average of 83 decibels. And on Love You 2, a little bit more dynamic range on this one, I was getting a low of 58 decibels, a high of 89 decibels for an average of 81. Again, and here's the comparison between the two, right? So we're going to go, I don't know, one of these sides here. Eleanor Rigby on the vinyl, 71, 85, 95. Eleanor Rigby on the digital remaster, 7283.91. On Love You Too, analog is 6584, 100, but really 95, I think. And on this side, Love You Too, digital 5881, 89. Okay, so that's the comparisons as far as the decibels go. For the soundstage on the digital, right? Soundstage was, yeah, it's bigger. I think this is why I love the Giles Martin remaster so much. You know, back in the day, stereo was an afterthought for the Beatles. At the time, this came out in what, 66, I think it was? Yeah, 66. Maybe they were using the 4-track system at the time when they were just dumbing down the tracks to spread it out. But the technology really wasn't there, and frankly, they were really mastering for mono mixes. That was their primary, even up through Sgt. Pepper. So they didn't spend a lot of time really pushing the boundaries of a 2-channel system. Giles Martin was commissioned by the Beatles to do this, and really, I think what you hear mostly coming out of these remastered and remixes or reissues, remastered, is his attention to detail on getting the best stereo mix that he can. And again, the Beatles commissioned him to do this, and they signed off on it. So he wasn't out there, you know, doing this by himself. All right, so yeah, the soundstage for the digital 6+, left to right, mammoth. Height was coming at my ceiling or above my ceiling, and in some cases, the sound, I swear, was oozing up out of the floor. It had the soundstage was awesome. It's awesome. I'll leave it at that. All right. And as far as the depth goes, I didn't talk about depth on the vinyl. The depth on the vinyl was pretty good, and I think this is really what surprised me. I don't know about most, but it surprised me a good deal. The depth on the vinyl was a good 2.5 feet, and that was really from the back of the speaker into the room. The depth on the digital file, 4+ feet in the room. This was really a difference of, and I've said this in other videos before, it was the difference where the vinyl, the soundstage in depth was really good, and like I said, it exceeded my expectations. That's like you're sitting in the control room with George Martin and you're looking through the glass at the band in the studio. The digital file, you're in the studio with the band. Everything was much more holographic, had a lot more depth. You could hear air and space a lot more. And again, I think what Giles did is he got the most out of the mixes from a stereo perspective. Maybe there's a bit more panning. We'll get to that into some of the other songs, but that's it in the gist. So really, how does it sound? All right, well, how's it sound? We're gonna do this a little bit differently. I'm just gonna pull out some of the we'll go song by song, but we're not gonna go in depth. I'm not gonna do what I did with the Let It Be stuff, okay? I'm sorry about that. It was one of my first videos here, and I was super excited. So I gave you more information than most people want. I won't do that here. So let's go through song by song, and really and then we'll finish off what my final thoughts are, okay? All right, side one, Taxman. It was more spread out on the digital file. The soundstage, you could tell right away that, especially after you listen to it, right after you listen to the vinyl record, which I did subsequently for my second and third testing between the two. You got that immediate push out. So that was really the biggest takeaway that I got from Taxman. Just everything was a bit sharper. All right, Eleanor Rigby, I did enjoy it quite a bit. Again, more than I thought I would. However, the strings were much more vivid on the digital file. It was more layered. You got that sense of depth. On to the third song, I'm Only Sleeping. Very nice on vinyl, I put here. John is forward in the soundstage. It was really good. I did enjoy it quite a bit. As far as the digital file on that, just a little bit more of everything. Really close though on that particular song. They did a good job on the vinyl record for that. Giles didn't make a lot of changes there, but everything had a sharper edge, a little bit more crispy. People standing around, screw you in the ground. All right, on to the fourth song, Here, There, and Everywhere. What I put for the vinyl, the effing harmonies. That's my notes. The effing harmonies. Yeah, they're fantastic on both analog and digital. My gosh. It's 4 lads from Liverpool. Not so bad. Oh man, the harmonies were incredible. And so that was what I put on the vinyl, just the effing harmonies. On the digital, huge soundstage, room filling, the harmonies, you can see them around the virtual mic in your head, right in front of your face. Really cool. The depth was 4+ feet. You felt like you were in the studio with them, being very quiet in the corner, just watching these guys cut this record. Oh, it's awesome, awesome. All right. On to Yellow Submarine. The vinyl I put was really good. The cymbals were on the light side, nice panning effect though. It was really a nice presentation. I probably never heard as nice of a presentation, original presentation of Yellow Submarine, because again, most of the time listening to it in the car or you know, back in college or whatever, just crappy sound systems, whatever it may wind up being. Well, that's never happened before. My camera just overheated. So I don't know where I'm at with this thing, but if you hear a noise, I just turned on the AC. Yes, had to turn on the AC in New Hampshire on Tuesday, May 7th, 2024. It snowed 2 weeks ago. All right, and then a little bit of shot of some of the staple stuff. So I'm not sure where we left off, but I'm gonna do the Yellow Submarine again and I'll fix it up in editing. The Yellow Submarine, like I was saying, really good on the vinyl. I enjoyed that presentation of the music. Cymbals were a little bit light, however, it did have some nice panning. The digital version, the 50th anniversary version of Yellow Submarine, definitely heard more cymbals. It was more prevalent. And this was, you know, that part at the end where they do the engine noises and all those special effects, right, within Yellow Submarine. It was good on the vinyl. It was better than I thought it was going to be, but on the digital one, that flipping engine, it's like, it is so holographic, so three-dimensional. And again, I'm listening to this via a CD, RIP CD, 16-bit, 44K. We'll get to some of the other things at the end of the video here, but that's what I'm comparing it to, a vinyl record to essentially a RIP CD. And man, the 3D nature of the effects on Yellow Submarine were, wow, they were great. That engine was right in front of you in the room, 3D holographic, the whole 9 yards, good stuff. All right, last song on side 1, She Said, maybe one of the most quintessential sounding Beatles songs of all time, right? That Beatles sound. The vinyl, I put love it. Nice presentation. Yeah, it was really good. And then the digital, soundstage height was coming out of the ceiling, boys and girls. I was amazed. Closed my eyes, I was pointing my hands, right, how I measure everything. And it was coming from out of the room. It was so tall. And frankly, I was hearing new stuff coming out of the soundstage. Again, it was so high. The soundstage was so high that I'm sitting back and I'm picking up sounds that I had never heard before. And I've even listened to this digital file, you know, a couple dozen times in the last couple of years, and I'm still picking up new things. That's cool. All right, and then on the vinyl, we flip it over to side 2. Side 2 starts off with Good Day Sunshine. On the vinyl, I said good full presentation. Very nice listening experience. Really nice. Again, light on the cymbals. Feet as they touch the ground. Not as much detail in the vinyl record as I'm getting in the digital file. And again, because Giles had, I think, more time to pull some of these things and put them in the soundstage where he wanted to, as opposed to an afterthought. So the digital version of Good Day Sunshine, much more depth, much more air. I'm hearing stuff in the background like one of them shifting in their seat or something, or sliding their hand up the guitar before they get ready to hit the notes. You could just hear some stuff there that you weren't hearing in the on the analog version of it. Yeah, and I said the cymbals just had much more shimmer on the digital copy. Really, it was awesome. All right, And Your Bird Can Sing. Another one of those. This is the Beatles sound, right? Those, especially you get to those twin guitars, those twin casinos doing the twin solo. All right, on the vinyl, I just put it was okay. This one, it did not exceed my expectations, because I really enjoy this song, certainly on the digital, and I'll tell you why in a second. But on the vinyl, good presentation, a little underwhelming for me. On the digital thing, first thing I put was freaking awesome. You got, again, Epiphone casinos, 2 of them, going through the Vox 7120 amps. As a little Beatle nerd here, these amps were a gift from Vox for this album, or they got it just before the album. But regardless, they made those casinos crunch, and you're getting a lot more of that throughout the album than you are on the digital version, the remastered version, as opposed to the original. Man, these guitars are just, they're not angry, but man, they've got such a great sound and tone to them. It's that Beatles sound, that's what I put here. Much harder edged, powerful, much more detail on George's playing in particular. So while the vocals are going, you can actually hear George really clearly playing throughout, and it was very tasteful, very good. All right, on to For No One. If you're a sucker for a French horn like me, this song's great. Vinyl, very good presentation. Paul is center, clear. Ringo's off on the right, and you can really get a nice drum sound. Nice presentation on the vinyl record. Digital, or I should say, stop saying digital. It is digital, but I should start saying the 50th anniversary or the remastered version. Overall, more definition on this song. You're actually hearing a faint but more precise hi-hat in the center behind Paul's vocals. Didn't hear that on the vinyl record. You get that sense of being in the room, where again on the vinyl record you're not. And that French horn is just really cool. All right, Dr. Robert. This was the best image song on the vinyl record I put. Best imaging and soundstage on the album for me was Dr. Robert. It was great. The chorus, you know, well, 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 you're feeling fine, is huge. It was huge coming out of the vinyl record. Huge. Really good. Now, on the remastered version, that chorus, well, 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 you're feeling fine, goosebumps. It's around you. It was really, really cool. Yeah, I said it surrounded me. You get that 3D image. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. The soundstage was was coming up from below the floor and reached all the way up to the ceiling or beyond. Awesome, awesome presentation on the remastered mix. All right, after Dr. Robert, we've got I Want to Tell You. I think George's second song on this album, right? Vinyl, nice soundstage. The clapping, I'm a sucker for claps. The clapping was light, not that pronounced coming out of the vinyl record. I think you're hearing this, right? Is as far as the sparklies and the trebles and the highs, it was a little understated on the vinyl record. It's a bit plain, I put here. On the remastered version, in the beginning, I could see the tambourine. I could see the tambourine. It was right there, right in front of me on the right-hand side. Did not get that sensation whatsoever on the vinyl record. Great hand claps on the remastered version. And I put this, much more detailed but not cold. Don't mistake this for being, you know, when you talk about warm sound versus cold sound, analytical, right, could be cold. But you were definitely getting a lot more treble, a lot more sizzle, a lot more sparkle. And on this particular song, it really, really shined. It was great. After that, we go into the second to last song, Got to Get You Into My Life. Vinyl, great isolation and image. This was really fun to listen to. No problems whatsoever. Thoroughly enjoyed listening to this song. I put the solo is very clear as well. Again, using the casinos again. On the digital, I put bam, right away the horns, right? It's huge, it's in your face, it's smile time. Let me do this again. And we're back. It overheated again. I don't know, we're gonna finish this up though. We're gonna finish this up. All right, so let's start with Got to Get You Into My Life Again. I don't know where it left off. Vinyl, great isolation and image. Solo is very clear. Great casinos, love them. Again, very nice listening experience on Got to Get You Into My Life from a vinyl perspective. On the digital, first thing I put here was BAM! Those horns come right out and greet you. They were fantastic. Great energy coming out of this song. Great bass in the center. More aggressive guitar solos. Again, those Vox amps and those casinos. Beatles sound coming out of Got to Get You Into My Life. Fan-flippin-tastic. All right, last song on the album. Tomorrow Never Knows, vinyl. Very good presentation. Certainly exceeded my expectation. Really, really nice. Digital, I put Giles Takes Control. You got a little bit new panning maybe that he was able to muster up here. I put Trip Fest. Trippy Trip Fest with that backwards guitar solo. Man, the soundstage was epic on this song is what I put. This was like, I almost left, I wasn't in this place while I was listening to this song. The song took me elsewhere. It was awesome. Really, really good. Floor to ceiling soundstage. Layers and layers and layers is what I put here. Incredible what Giles was able to do with this song. So, what are my final thoughts? So what are my final thoughts? Well, the vinyl exceeded my expectations in every way. And to the person who got this for me, thank you. You're the same person that got me the Morrison Hotel from Paris. Thank you very much. I will listen to this more than Morrison Hotel because this was actually a good listen. Certainly makes me appreciate what Giles Martin did a little bit more as well. The digital, my digital copy of the 50th anniversary, man, those guitars, what Giles was able to do with those guitars throughout the entire, this is a guitar album. This is fresh. I mean, he made this album sound so fresh. So what do I go to next on this? In the past, I'd said, well, if it's mastered in digital, and all these Giles Martin's ones are, I always said I'm not going to get the vinyl on it if it's a digital mastered. I'll just get the highest resolution I can find and slap it on the DAC and go from there. Well, I think on the their 24-bit 96K is the type of file, and I ripped it to Flac, and that's what I've done with. I did get the high res for a couple of these Beatle titles. I did get it for the White Album, and I've got it on Abbey Road and a couple others. This one I have not gotten the high res file, and I think what I'm going to wind up doing is getting the just the record, right? Just the vinyl record. I don't need. I've got this deluxe set here with all the session work and all that other stuff. I don't need to get all that again. But for the main album, yeah, I think I'm going to get it on vinyl, and then I'll A/B it against the digital copy and see what happens there. So that's really where I'm going. And I put this. Somebody asks me all the time, "What's your favorite Beatle record?" It's like the favorite Beatle record I have is the one I'm probably listening to at the moment. I don't have a favorite. Oh my gosh. It's really whatever mood grabbed you to go put that on at that particular time, and that's my favorite at the time. Revolver, love it. Love it. You were starting to get a sense of where they were going to go to next, right? It was a departure from Rubber Soul, which came out just before it. In fact, I think George said these were almost like twin albums because they were really close in time frame when they made them in the studio. So yeah, it was a departure from Rubber Soul, and you were starting to get a little sense of what was coming down the road when they did Sgt. Pepper album. My final thoughts are, yeah, I really, really enjoy what Giles Martin did with this, and that's gonna be my go-to version for this album. Fantastic. Soundstage was jumping, room was moving, and had a thoroughly great time doing this this A/B. So let me know what your thoughts are. These are almost like in Beatles circles. You know, I know people that I've watched it want to stay with the original version, the original mix, and that's what they like, because that's what they've been hearing for their entire lives. In this case, I do like what Giles Martin has done. Not to take away from the vinyl, because it really did exceed my expectations. So if you get your hands on a clean copy of a vinyl record for this, yeah, it's really, really good as well. I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know. So that's it, everybody. I hope you all get to grab some time for yourself at the end of the day, or whenever it's convenient. Get yourself a very, very good used copy of the original pressing. You're not going to be disappointed. It's really good if you want to stay true to how it was first put out. But if you're looking for a little more adventure in your life, yeah, go with the 50th remaster of this thing. Fan-flipping-tastic. Fan-flipping-tastic. That's where I'll leave you with that. So yeah, find some time for yourself at the end of the day or whenever it's convenient for you. Grab your favorite beverage at the moment, sit down and listen to the Beatles Revolver, because you know what? These four guys, pretty good, and you may just forget how good they were. This thing is a thoroughly enjoyable listen, and it's not that long. I think all in it's going to take 35-40 minutes of your life. Heck, you may want to put it on again a second time. Take care, and I hope to see you on the next video. Thanks. Bye.